I want to take a moment here to talk about Arknights Endfield. The reason being, I was tagged on social media earlier today asking me, questioning why and how I was supporting the game. Why, for whatever reason, for whatever unfathomable reason, I would play this game when, you know, according to this person in specific, it is the uncontested worst gacha game release ever, right? Sure. So they tagged me in a tweet that was concerning the protocol reconnection event. This is a returnee event for Enfield players. And after I replied, I admittedly wasn't the nicest in my reply. They went and deleted their tweet. Unfortunately, because I wanted to include that here, I just went searching for it and I couldn't find it anymore. But essentially what happened was Arknights Endfield here, they rolled out this returnee event. And that is to reward players that haven't logged in for X number of days to allow for them to catch up. This is essentially and effectively a catch-up mechanic. This isn't exclusive to Arknights Endfield. This is done by, I feel like, the vast majority of gacha games. And I think where the point of contention here is coming from is that the returnee event in specific was released very early into game's development. Like shortly after the game released, they decided to roll out this returnee event. And I get it. You can look at this from two different perspectives. On the one hand, you can look at this and say, wow, they're trying to convince people to come back because some people quit the game and are no longer playing after, you know, whatever happened at launch. Sure, that is definitely one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is from the perspective of, oh, hey, most gacha games roll out a returnee event within the first few months of its release. Now, in that OG tweet, they mentioned Wuthering Waves as an example here was doing so well they didn't need to hold a returnee event. And then this is where I actually find a little bit of fault here, and this is why I specifically wanted to do this video. Yes, it is true. Arknights Endfield rolled out their returnee event within the first month of release, but Wuthering Waves rolled out Reprise of Tides, which is their returnee event, on the 15th of August 2024. Now, Wuthering Waves launched globally on May 23rd, 2024. So this happened less than 3 months apart. Sure, you can argue, well, WuWa didn't release their returnee event as early. I totally understand that, but Wuthering Waves had numerous other issues when they launched that they had to deal with and contend with, so they probably weren't even ready to roll out their returnee event at that point. But I also want to point out here, and this is just speculation, but in a lot of instances here, these returnee events, they are already pre-programmed into the game. They are going to be released regardless of how your game is doing. Even if your game is the most popular gacha game in existence, if this is pre-programmed to release 30 days after the game launches, then it will. If it's pre-programmed to launch 3 months after the game launches, it will. Wuthering Waves had this. Within 3 months of its release, it actually rolled out with version 1.2. Arknights Endfield also has this. It rolled out several weeks after release. Is this a cause for alarm? Not at all. I find it kind of confusing that people are trying to paint this game as dying narrative when what the reality is that the game financially has done better than the vast majority of gacha game releases since Genshin Impact. I'm not even kidding. This game in its first month has earned more money than almost any other gacha game that isn't Genshin Impact in its first few weeks of release. I don't know, man. It's a weird narrative for people, an agenda for people to be pushing. And I'm not calling anyone out here. I'm not saying that it's you know, doing incredibly well a month after launch. We know financially it has been doing very well. We know that there are a lot of people playing. You can look at their social media metrics, millions of views on tweets. There are, I think, over 1 million active members over on the subreddit specifically. The Discord is booming, so there really isn't any contesting the popularity of the game. It might die out over time, sure, but right now on the 18th of February 2026, a month after release, almost a month after release. The game is still doing incredibly well. Yo, I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I need to take a moment here to thank all my incredible patrons over on Patreon whose support continues to allow for me to do regular videos like this every single day on this channel. Thank y'all so much, including our YouTube channel members. You guys mean the world to me. So do you guys as viewers as well. Now, without further ado, let's continue. I think that there is this weird narrative being pushed by a collective of people, of a specific community, and this is like the second part of the video that's connected to the first topic, but also not really the same train of thought. But what essentially happened is, after Enfield's launch, there were a group of people that were so upset and so angry with the game that they took to social media, every single platform, to push the narrative that the game was doing poorly, the game was terrible, and the game was dead, and that other games were better. Specifically, Wuthering Waves. And I agree. In some instances, WuWa is a better game, but in some instances, Arknights Endfield is a better game. I have the opinion, personally, that no game is inherently better in every aspect. I think every single gacha game does things right and does things wrong, and where it does things wrong, other games do things better and therefore are better in that area. Now, I think Wuthering Waves is definitely better than Enfield in some areas, and Enfield is better than WuWa in some areas, but in no way is either game just objectively better than the other. It's just not possible. Now, these players, I actually don't even think that a lot of these players are even really WuWa players. I think they're just trolls. They're people rage baiting for what? Clout on social media? These fucking nerds on social media trying to get a few extra impressions? Yo, this is the most absurd high school level drama bullshit I have ever seen. I have asked so many different people. I have polled tens of thousands of Wuthering Waves players on YouTube, on Twitter, on our Discord community, while streaming. Almost every single one of them, every single one of us, are fine with Arknights Endfield. Don't have any issues with the game or their community at all. A lot of the WuWa community is actually incredibly chill, incredibly laid back, and just happy to play their game. A lot of the Enfield community is the exact same way. They just want to sit there and enjoy their game. And then you have these weirdos on social media that are just manufacturing drama out of nowhere to push an agenda that just doesn't exist. It's the Genshin Impact attacking Wuthering Waves issue all over again. A lot of Genshin players loved WuWa. A lot of Genshin players didn't even care about WuWa or its respective player base, but there was a collective of players that did, and they have soured the opinions of everyone. Now everyone sees, oh, Hoyo community bad, when it's a very small fraction of the community. If they're, well, no, let's be real, they definitely were community members from Hoyoverse games. But, and you know what, at the end of the day, some of these people are probably Wuthering Waves players too. There's no denying that. But the vast majority of WuWa players, the vast majority of Arknights Endfield players are cool with each other and are happy. A lot of players from both games play both games, and that's because both games are fun. Both games have their issues, sure. Neither game is perfect, sure. But at the end of the day, both communities are happy with each other, and both communities are fine and understand that more than one gacha game can exist at the same time, that coexistence is possible. And this also applies to Neverness to Everness. I know that there are people lashing out at NTE in the same way they lashed out at Arknights Endfield. These are the same people that are lashing out at Silver Palace, the same people that are lashing out at Azure Pramelia. It is a fraction of very petty, very angry, tribalistic reject retards on social media. They're trying to push this distorted agenda that their game is superior than any other game, when the reality is that couldn't be further from the truth. And at the end of the day, your game might be great, but that doesn't mean other games can't be and aren't as well. So what I'm trying to say with this is that these people are very weird. And I don't know why they're doing what they're doing and why they're pushing what they're pushing. It just doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't be listening to them. Don't give them the time and the attention that they so desperately want. It's one of the reasons we're not showcasing anything on screen right now. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.